that is coming into our territory is Monsanto. And our connection to our holy people is corn. And so Monsanto is providing our tribe. We have an agriculture corporation. And so we get our seeds from Monsanto. And in turn, what we harvest gets sold to Frito-Lay. And then in turn, the only grocery, we probably have about 5 to 6 grocery stores in our territory, and there's no organic food. There's no non-GMO food there. What you can find in every street, though, is the convenience store that sells Frito-Lay, that sells Coca-Cola. So then, of course, the rates for diabetes and cancer are at an all-time high because of these things.
Everybody's looking in that direction. If we're not stopping and being like, let me look behind me, let me look around, let me look away from what everybody's looking, you know what I mean? We're gonna fall into the trap. Cause I'll tell you, from being in Ferguson, you know what I mean, while we were out there, that shit was like a military exercise. And when we look at the fact that in Boston and Baltimore, they're practicing, these are like, you know, military exercises. You know, I'm being in a city like Philly, not too long ago we were in Baltimore, we've been in Detroit. It's right there, the proof is right there. Capitalism is crumbling. These are 3 cities that are just, you know, results of the fact that because of the trade agreements, people are leaving. So I just, you know, I come with that energy, with the idea that we have to also start focusing on working as much energy as we give to reacting to attacks, and also working on creating an alternative. You know, like what skill sets do we fucking have as a movement? How many of us can actually build some shit? How many of us know how to grow shit? How many of us, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like know how to get a hammer and put up some drywall, you know what I mean? Or, you know, how many of us actually put our hands in the dirt, you know? And I know I may be preaching to the choir because I know a lot of folks here are doing that amazing work, but I just feel that we really gotta start putting emphasis, you know, like the reality, you know, for a lot of us poor people is that we're not gonna be in the cities no more. If we think 10, 20 years ahead with gentrification the way that it's going, the city life ain't gonna be, you know what I mean, our reality. Like why is it that a Ferguson even exists? These folks done got gentrified out of St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to share that, like, you know, we really came back with that spirit and the energy of building, but at the same time also like really focusing on like creating and having a national conversation of what it means to be poor. You know, it's crazy, but even within like the capitalist system in the hood, I know I talked to some of my boys. I came back talking to some of my homies on the block, and they was like, "Shit, I ain't poor." You know, like it's almost an insult.
So my name is Charlie Thayer. My government name's Charlie Thayer. My Anishinaabe name's Oshki Migazi. I grew up in Minnesota. I'm an Ojibwe Anishinaabe Nation, Whiter, Lakota Rays, my tribal homelands. I grew up in a town that had a lot of racism against natives. They had a lot of hatred towards natives, and it was very difficult for us to find work. When I turned 18, it was difficult for us to find work. We couldn't get hired nowhere, so we had to go through these hiring agencies where we were paid less wages, and it was just unsafe working conditions. First day of the job, I was with my brother Cheyenne. We got the job together, and they told us we would have safety harnesses. And the first day of the job, we showed up there, and there was no safety equipment. And we were tearing down an old polluted wood factory, and we had grew up like right next to that wood factory on the lake. And my mom had warned us about it. She was really nervous about us going there and working because of the pollution and the hot spots there. And we were supposed to have safety harnesses. About an hour into the job, he falls 4 stories and hits his head. And I'm down there. I took my shirt off and I wrapped his head up in my shirt, and I'm praying with him, and he passes away. So this piece right here travels with me with this show. So it goes with us with this show. We're storytellers. All these pieces of artwork here are stories, and this is a story that I carry with me, that I hold close to my heart, and that's what drives me to do the work that I do, fighting corporate genocide, fighting environmental injustices to our people and to our lands. And so, you know, that's what that's about. And man, it's a blessing to be out here on the East Coast and have the homies Rebel Diaz come through and support our show and support the cause. And we're going to keep it moving and keep doing what we're doing with this Indigenous Resistance show. And so it's just a part of the blessing, man. So.
Follow my own path. Mama always told me that. Never let anyone put you down on your back. Be the best in everything you do. Do unto others what you want done to you. Basic training, human relations based on the way we perceive
our exchanges.
Faces of strangers filled with anger. Up in the subterranean New York subway train gets packed to the max. Everyone coming home from working, not fulfilled, seeking out a higher purpose. Searching, asking,
where did the time go?
Clocked in and
clocked out, the same thing tomorrow.
A model that's based on
slaves like the South was.
To not a change
Our debts that we owe them.
Car note, light bill, make us pay up. Don't they owe that mule
and
40 acres and acres and acres to all the natives? Wiped out and put on reservations. So I ain't waiting for my place at the table. I'm going to take that. You could call it a
payback.
Because I'm just trying to even the scales, level the playing field. So my kids and
your kids can play together well.
The other option, well, it really don't be well. We stay on this path and
kill ourselves.
Because we farming for profit, surplus stockers, save for fuel while there's still
food shortage.
Hungry and homeless, while some at home with feet
on the ottoman.
Food in the oven, yeah, some have it better. Clothes in the dresser, open refrigerator,
dinner microwaver.
Others are in danger,
no access to basics.
Portrait is dangerous, high incarceration is
no accidente.
This state intention, centers of detention
for immigrant offenders.
No pediatrician para los niños if they ain't
citizens of Estados Unidos.
Todos somos hijos, that mean I'm a seed of rebel legacy, so I breathe these ideals. Peace with freedom, the seas let's teach them, the poor let's feed them, the wounds let's heal them, y'all. Whoa. Yeah. Whoa.
In East Oakland. I carry a briefcase and I code switch for a paycheck, pushing black and brown equity at meetings with deputy superintendents, regional task forces, symposiums on structural racism and violence prevention. I be in these meetings talking about systems. The gravity of black boys in these systems is nothing like Newton's apple. The gravity is more like the Grim Reaper's sickle. Maybe that's why the street signs in East Oakland sometimes look like tombstones. 1 in 3 will be incarcerated. 7 out of 10 will recidivize. 25% survive on $10,000 a year. Half won't graduate high school. 35% are unemployed. 16 times more likely to die from homicide. 16 times more likely than white boys to die from homicide. The gravity. For the first time ever in Oakland, Latinos are the majority in public schools. We have the highest birth rates, eclipse all ethnicities in the state, but severely disproportionate to graduation rates. Schools be hostile like the Alamo. No translation services. Mama's request to speak to the principal falls on monolingual ears. Wait here, please. Her cultura held hostage by bankrupt state policies and disrespected by an incompetent curriculum and culturally chauvinistic administrators. She becomes deaf to the system. Her babies cry for attention by waving gang signs. The volume. I be in these meetings talking about systems. I'm often the only Latino in a room full of black friends. And if someone decides to call me hermano, ask me what Latinos think of Obama, or where they can get the best steak burrito in Oakland. I say steak is carne asada. I tell them to go to the Ojo de Agua taco truck on Fruitvale Ave and East 13th because I represent my raza. It's what we all want to represent. Then I say, the volume is rising. Listen, we've been saying the same thing for 10 years. The system is a placebo, an inertia, apathetic. I even busted poems in these meetings. But all I hear is business cards dancing on gravity. The fact is, black boys are at the bottom of every measure of success, every standard of achievement, every level of society. If the gravity of their situation don't move you to do something different, then the volume of brown demographics are going to hit you like a tsunami. So when we say black and brown unity, what could we be talking about? Are we talking about getting treatment for our issues with good hair and bad hair? Pelo bueno. Pelo malo. Do we all just need to learn to speak American? America. Yes, the continent. America, the continent. The first recorded African slave uprising in the Americas happened in Mexico in 1546. The first African free pueblo in the hemisphere was founded and named after Yanga, an African prince freed slave in Veracruz, Mexico, 1609. Mexico's second president, Vicente Ramon Guerrero, was an African Mexican who abolished slavery. During the U.S.-Mexican War of 1848, Mexicans refused to force runaway slaves back to their U.S. slave owners, so they lost half their territory. Mexican and African, black and brown, these brothers enjoy a rich legacy of alliance, but why don't we teach that in the schools? So black... We don't teach that in the schools, so black and brown don't see each other as equal. In 1965, African Americans celebrated the Voting Rights Act and ended Jim Crow prerequisites to vote. At the same time, Chicanos began the Delano grape strike. And for the first time, Mexican Americans grabbed the national spotlight. Today, there are more than 200 public schools, 500 streets throughout the country named after Martin Luther King Jr. and Cesar Chavez. Still, every February, Latinos learn civil rights were invented by a black man's dream. And Cesar Chavez, who was born in Arizona, must struggle to be seen above Bud Light girls celebrating Cinco de Mayo and the hateful speech dividing our country over illegal immigration. When I hear the undocumented scapegoated as a threat to African American livelihood, the problem is not just the lack of mutual respect. There is a financial interest invested in our lack of knowledge of each other. Who's who? What's my name? Is brown the new black? It's not about who owns the bottom, but who's got my back? Who represents me? Latinos in New York will tell you. Afro-Cubanos will tell you. Los Racas will tell you. Soledad O'Brien will tell you. Know the soul of Black Peru. Know that Africans are immigrants in Oakland too. Know our common history. The interdependence of black and brown is a reality now in Oakland, Fresno, Salinas, Los Angeles. At every level, black and brown need to be at the table representing like Yanga, like Guerrero, like Martin and Cesar. If we are going to thrive, we have to represent and together.